I wanted to give an update on what's going on with IVF. So I'm sure that's why you clicked on the title, right? What's up, fertility fam? How are you? Today is the 21st of December, but this will be Vlogmas Day 20 that I'm posting this. Hopefully you can see me. I'm trying to use the natural light coming in from my room, and I wanted to give you an update on what's going on with IVF. Grab your tea. I'll wait. Okay, you ready, girl? Or guy? I think the last update I gave is that I had financial clearance. So I just wanted to go into a little bit of detail about what that exactly means. There's a bit of a process that you have to go through in order to get to actually doing egg retrieval and transfer. So far I have had to do a meeting with a therapist or a psychiatrist, right? Because I'm doing donor egg. So that meeting happened. I had to do ahead of time, I had already had my physical, my mammogram, and pelvic exam. So I'd already done that. So just like pap smear, and then I also had a pelvic sonogram. That pelvic sonogram said that I had looked like I had a fibroid, and so Dr. McConnell, my RE, ordered an SHG, the saline sonohystogram. So I did that at Columbia. That came back fine. There was no fibroid. And she said the saline sonohystogram is the gold standard because they're inside. So anything that it looked like on the pelvic sonogram was negated by what was seen on the saline sonohystogram. Because again, they're in there, whereas the pelvic sonogram is all done from outside. I don't know why I'm motioning. This is the sonogram nozzle, and I'm rubbing on my pelvis, so pardon me. All that had to be done first, right? So that the last thing I had to do was meet with the maternal fetal medicine doctor, which I learned is what the high risk OB is called. And she ordered an echo, which I'm going to have done on the 22nd, which is tomorrow. Once I get cleared from the echo, then I am medically cleared for IVF. The financial clearance, we went back and forth with the insurance. For those of you who haven't seen that video, I'll click it over here, my frustration with the financial coordinator. I have spoken to her, or I've written to her supervisor, who is not able to speak on the phone. I didn't go into details as to why. So we've gone back and forth through email, and I got an email last week that basically said that I would pay, I think it's either $18,000 or $19,000 out of pocket, and the rest would be billed to insurance. Or all of it's going to be billed to insurance. I'm going to pay that money up front, and then it'll all be billed to insurance. Anything that insurance covers, I will be refunded. If insurance doesn't cover it, then I am meant to pay the difference. And so that will be all for the retrieval. Basically, the bulk of that goes to the donor. So $10,000 is the donor fee. $5,000 is the administrative fee for them finding the donor. And that money is basically already spent because they already found my donor. She's already been tested. So no matter what, I already owe that, because I know some people are like, why don't you go overseas? Why don't you go abroad? And I'm going to touch on that in a second as to why I'm not doing it. Specifically why I'm not doing it, but just in general, when you pick a path for IVF and you already start down that path, you really need a good reason to get off of that path. So I think when you're going into it, choose wisely. So I've already chosen the path of doing a donor egg, donor sperm IVF here in the States in New York. And so I'm already on that path. So that $5,000 is already spent. So I'm headed down that road. The sperm is already purchased. It's sitting at Columbia Fertility right now as you and I are here. And it's waiting on the egg retrieval, right? So that money is already spent. And that was, I think it was about $3,000 for the sperm. So I'm $8,000 committed. No matter what, if I get off this path, I still owe them $8,000, right? Or some of it's already paid for the sperm, but I still owe them the $5,000. So so it's $10,000 for the donor, that money in her pocket for her giving me her eggs. God bless her. And obviously it's a priceless gift. You can't put a price tag on that. And then the $5,000 administrative fee, it's $2,100 for the code that is the retrieval code, which I think it's either 2160, 5160, something like that, the medical billing code, because we know that the insurance is not going to cover another retrieval for me. And then $2,500 for the meds. And so my response back was, yes, sign me up, send me my credit card authorization, but I did have 2 questions for them. Because when the Antoinette in finance contacted Perry, who's my coordinator, she said I couldn't use my own pharmacy card for the donor for HIPAA reasons. However, my insurance thinks that I can. So I just had 2 questions. One, can we order the meds in my name? And I would just have them shipped directly to Columbia for the donor to pick up, right? So that she keeps her anonymity and I keep my anonymity, like we aren't in contact. And 2, can I give her the gonal F that I already have? I have the 4 pens that are 900 IU. But so I have those 2 questions, and then that would take off the $2,500 cost for the meds that I'm being charged for in advance. Because my pharmacy benefits are really good. I can get like an unlimited amount or up to 10 pens of gonal F, 10 things of Cetrotide. Each med is $50 copay. That's obviously a lot cheaper than $2,500. So, and I don't think she'd need more than 3 meds, right? It'd be HCG, Cetrotide, gonal F. Oh, maybe Menopur. But either way, that's only $200 versus $2,500. So I asked the question just to see. So I'm waiting. I expect to get a response back from Columbia today or tomorrow. And that should time out because tomorrow I have my echo. I fully expect to be cleared for that. I had that same procedure or test in 2019 when I was with Dr. O, so I don't expect to have any problems. My health has certainly not declined since then. So, but you never know. That's why they do these things, right? So I had to have had that test within the last year. All the exams, if you're doing IVF, all the exams, your pelvic, mammogram, all that has to be within the last year before your retrieval, if you're going through the retrieval, or for me, because I'm only going through transfer, had to be within a year of my transfer. So I knew all that when I got back to New York, so I ticked all that off in September. The other thing for my IVF, which was a little bit of a wrinkle, so I had my mammogram in September and I also had a ultrasound. So they always do that for me because I have dense tissue. It was last year. So 2019, I had a biopsy because there was something that came up on the scan that didn't look, or it looked abnormal. So I had a biopsy. It came back, what is the word? I can't think of the word, but it came back fine. There was no cancer. And this year, when I took it in September, somehow in the move, I don't know, I didn't see it oh no, I know what it was. It went to the old address and then it's forwarded here. So it has that little yellow sticker. So like a week ago, maybe, or 2 weeks ago, I got the note saying that there was something abnormal on my mammogram. However, they don't think it's anything pressing. They just want to see how it develops. So they want me to take another mammogram in 6 months. So from September, that would be September, October, November, December, January, February. That'd be March, right? And we know that I want to do my transfer in February. So hopefully I can go to my GY, the gynecologist, and have another script written for a February mammogram, because I don't think you're meant to get those when you're pregnant. But anyway, that's not going to stop me from going, right? That's just something that I need to take care of. It doesn't, like Dr. McConnell isn't like you have to wait for transfer. So that is what's going on with my IVF. That's my IVF update. And I wanted to touch on, because there's been a couple of comments, and so I wanted to address, like, people are like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing that? I did the whole video on my thoughts on embryo adoption. Someone said they went to Columbia, they had Perry, they had Dr. McConnell, they did an embryo adoption, and it was fine. They're a single person, and now have a beautiful daughter. So congratulations. Again, because I'm already on a path, it doesn't make sense for me to get off that path and then start something else. That's just going to cause delays. Like, I'm on track right now for January egg retrieval, February transfer. So I'm going to stay on that path. And it's not in my heart to do embryo adoption. Again, I think we all have to like sit down and be really real with ourselves and have that conversation about like, what is it that I want? What path that I want to go down? If you've already done IVF, you know this, but I think some people are watching who haven't gone through it or who are thinking about going through it, and just, it's not like, do you want to go to McDonald's or do you want to go to Wendy's, right? Or if you cancel your order. It is a path, and once you start on that path and start spending money, you're kind of tied to that path. And I didn't go into it lightly. Like, for those of you who have been here for a minute, you know it took me a long time to get to donor eggs. And then this year, I was considering it when I was in California. And then I was, at that time, still thinking I would do tandem. So I still hadn't given up on my own eggs. I was going to do mine and a donor. But now we have this little financial wrinkle. So that decision was made for me. And everyone has said, like, I'm 49 now. My chances are less than 1% that I'm going to get a viable embryo to my take-home baby. So I'm fine with that. That ship has sailed. I'm moving forward. Getting to that point, then I knew I was on that path. Someone has asked about surrogacy. Surrogacy is not regulated in the United States. So if I did have a surrogate, it would not be in the US. It would be in a country where it was regulated after I'd already created my embryos, had a lawyer here, had a lawyer in whatever country it was, if I were going to do surrogacy. I'm not interested in surrogacy. I don't have a reason to believe that I can't carry my own child to term. And I know you guys have seen famous people having surrogates. It's not regulated. I just don't want that drama. And again, I have no reason to believe that I can't carry a child to term. The other thing, what was the other thing? Oh, why don't I go abroad? And once you get on a path, one, I'm already on the path. Two, each country has its own laws. And so there would have to be somebody who, I would have to hire a lawyer in whatever country that was in. And honestly, it just feels a little weird to go to another country to get an egg donor. Like, I'm here in America, like, why wouldn't I do it here? Otherwise, we're talking about paying for a donor to have a retrieval here, shipping those eggs somewhere else. Yeah, it doesn't really make sense in my circumstance to do it. Like, again, I already have my donor. I don't know what rights a donor might have in a different country than what they have here in America or what they have in New York, because there's not a federal regulation on the donors either. I mean, there are certain, actually, I take that back. There are certain criteria for the tissue, for any tissue that's transferred from one person to another that is federal, that falls under both sperm and ovum donation. But as far as like the contract of what you potentially owe the donor or a sperm or ovum, that part is not regulated, right? And so there's nothing to stop someone from coming back later and being like, that's my child, I want them. Like, they sign a contract, I sign a contract, we are legally bound by that contract. We could end up in court, but there's nothing to prevent, a law is only as good as the people who honor it, as we've seen from our current resident of the White House. Then it has to be enforced. So anybody could say, I've decided that I want my children back, I want my ovum back, which has now become a child, and then you end up in court. So I don't want to do that in another country. Yeah, I just don't. And I know some people were like, oh, celebrities have used, in the live, we were talking about the Real Housewives, and I was like, just kiki and like, oh, I think this person had a donor egg. And someone was like, I don't know why they don't say it. One, I think out of the privacy of their child, especially if they're famous, their child is not, you don't want to send your child to kindergarten and their like friends are like, oh yeah, I heard your mom's not your biological mom. That becomes a little weird. Two, the donor may not know they donated to a famous person and then again could want to renegotiate their contract. Maybe whatever fee they negotiated, they felt like they should get more. In my example, she's getting $10,000. If she finds out later, maybe she wants $50,000. Like, you know what I mean? So it just gets a little complicated. So I think for me, I understand like why a famous person would not want to do that. It just gets messy and it's not really anybody's business, right? Because you're talking about somebody's biology. It's the same as it's that child's story to tell, not necessarily the parent's story to tell. And I think when you are famous, more people are wanting to tell your story because they get money from that, right? Like People magazine scoops a story on someone's personal life. That's how they get money or I'm not shunning it because that's part of how I get my paycheck, content of other people. It's not something to be taken lightly, I guess. So I can't understand why they don't reveal it. I know it's probably a part of us that wants them to reveal it. So everybody has realistic expectations, but it's a super personal choice. Even I had to decide if that was something I wanted to put on YouTube, and I'm obviously not famous. So I've made a decision for my child up until this point. Now, am I going to show the child on YouTube? Am I going to discuss it openly? I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but those are considerations that we have to make, right? I know people who have used relatives as donors and not reveal to other family members that they use their relatives' eggs because it's personal. You want to have that conversation with your child first and you want to make sure that they understand that before you start telling everyone else, To be specific, I was saying I believe that Brooklyn may have been from Kenya Moore, may have been from an egg donor. I said it kind of tongue in cheek. I don't know. I mean, it could have been her eggs. She didn't discuss it. She could have gone, we know she wanted a child. She could have 10 years ago frozen her eggs, right? She could have very well used her own eggs. So let me not be putting people's business in the street when I'm only speculating. It was more of a kiki. So I want to clarify that. But it did come up in the chat, so I wanted to address it. Hopefully that gives you the update, that gives you a kind of where I am and my mental space about why I've chosen what I've chosen. I'm already on my path. While I appreciate your suggestions for me, I'm in a place that I'm not turning back. If, God forbid, this doesn't work out, then I have to figure out, do I try this again or do I try another path? But this is the path that I'm on. Or if you're putting it in the comments to share for other people, that's great. If there's someone who knows someone who did an IVF abroad and was successful, put them in touch with me. I would love to do a collab, interview them. I could just send them the questions, they can respond so that we can share it with the fam. Like, what is that experience like? I know, what is that experience like? I know some people went to Barbados. When I first started on this journey, I read a blog of a woman who went to Spain. She was from the UK and she went to Spain to do her donor egg. IVF, and now she has a little girl. I think she named her daughter Faith or Hope or something similar to that. And she called it the Little Spaniard, and she did all of this holistic stuff to prepare her body for it. I can't remember. It was some guru. I can't remember what it was though, but it had to do with like lifestyle and eating and mental preparedness. So that seemed to work. Anyway, that's my IVF update. Let me know, where are you on your journey with IVF? Have you made a decision? Someone just hit me up on IG and she's like, I have this, this, and this. And what her 3 options were. Unfortunately, her partner is not on board, so that makes it a little difficult. But I was like, weigh out all your options before you hit the go button. Because again, once you're on the path, you're on the path. So that's that. If anybody's worried, because I know someone before was like, don't put it on a credit card, get a loan at a credit union. It's a credit union credit card, 0% interest for 24 months. I believe I can pay it off by then, or the majority of it off by then. Knock on wood that my financial circumstances don't change. And so, that's that. That's what makes sense for me. Hopefully you're doing what makes sense for you, free from judgment from anyone else, in our safe space. All right, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Baby, that's to us all.